Hey guys, Kelade here. So Blizzard has finally released the patch date for patch 8.2. We do now know it's going to be June 25th. So whatever day of the week your resets are going to be, it's going to be next week. And so generally the raids should come out 2 weeks after that, and then Mythic should come out a week after that. So you shouldn't be using any coins this week. If you have none, right, you should start saving your coins because you're going to want them for a new raid. Now, obviously, what you guys are all here for is what is going to be the best essences for Fear Warriors when patch 8.2 launches. First thing I do want to say, even as of recording this video, right, 30 minutes of me recording right now, Blizzard has announced another change for Vision Perfection. So obviously, all the essences are still subject for changes, and it's likely that there will be additional tuning. So heads up on that. Also, I'm only going to talk about the major traits, just one major and one minor, because in order to unlock the next rank, you need, like, the next minor slot, you need like 55. I don't think you're gonna hit that right away the first week, because I think we're all at 50. It might take you a couple of weeks, but I guess eventually when we get there, we can talk about that. But there's likely gonna be tuning changes that are gonna happen before then. The biggest change I want to know, going through all of this, Blizzard made it so none of these essences are affected by our buffs and debuffs anymore. Right, because it used to be when I first went on the PTR, when I first had it in my first video, I was able to buff Blooded Enemy with my Siegebreaker, my Enrage, and any Trinket buffs that I had, any other buffs that I might have had on top of that. Right, I was able to make my Blooded Enemy crit for over 100k AoE. Now it's only going to do 16,739, and that number will not change even if I have Enrage, no Enrage, Siegebreaker, no Siegebreaker, doesn't matter anymore. I don't know when it happened. I don't know why this wasn't a bigger deal, but it's fucking huge because now none of these traits, none of these essences are buffed by any of our buffs and debuffs anymore. So their value obviously just goes way down. Our damage with all of them just takes a drastic, decline. So that's unfortunate. On top of that, the majority of all these traits have all been nerfed. Some of them repeatedly over and over. We'll get to that in a second too. So we're definitely much weaker now as of me releasing this video, and as we get closer to 8.2 than we were when these essences were first announced and were first placed onto the PTR. So if you guys are hoping for a power spike, not just for Fury Warriors, but for all basically specs in the game in general, the spike won't be as big as you might have expected from a couple months ago. So take that into consideration. That does suck. Of course, one of the biggest nerfs is Blood Enemy. Damage got nerfed. The crit stuff got nerfed, the duration got nerfed, right? Now on top of that, Unbound Force got nerfed repeatedly. Now it doesn't give you 100% crit anymore, right? It's in order to get it to proc, it takes an insane amount of time for it to proc. In a 3-minute fight, I proc it once. So I think the Unbound Force Dream, first of all, I think that's dead. I don't think we're gonna take it anymore. So just keep all your crit gear because you're gonna want it for basically everything else. So Unbound Force, it's gonna be in the trash can tier from now on until they change it. But let's talk about what's actually gonna be good and how do you actually get those, right? So from my testing, Condensed Life Force does seem like it's the best single target DPS trait. Now, I don't think it had an AoE component to it initially from the major power. Now when you summon that Guardian, so this is a 3-minute cooldown. Now when you summon that Guardian, he actually AoEs for you every 8 seconds. I'm pretty sure that was not there before, but he's very good. When you pop him out in the beginning with offer cooldowns, especially if you lust in the beginning, you get an insane amount of haste because he gives you haste. And then of course the minor power, it does seem to proc a relatively good amount. I think it's like 3 procs per minute right now. Every time it procs, it gives you 5% increased damage. It was 10, but now it's 5, it's nerfed, right? So, but I think this is going to be our best trait, and it is kind of rewarded too. I think this trait might end up being one of the hardest to get, even in regards to just how long it takes to get there, right? So in order to unlock Condensed Life Force, you basically have to collect these things from the new raid called Reliquaries. So let's take a look at our new raid, Eternal Palace. There's only 3 bosses that drop this. This Aquia's Reliquary. So it's going to be Radiance of Ajara drops it, the Queen's Court drops it, and then Queen Ajara drops it. So only 3 bosses are going to drop this. Hopefully, when the bosses drop it, it's more than just one. Because if each boss only drops one, and that's assuming they're even going to drop you one every time, it might take a while. Because just to unlock the first level, you're going to need 9, and then you're going to need 18, and then you're going to need 27. So this trait might take a while to unlock if they're only dropping it one by one. So hopefully, it's more than one. And hopefully it's almost guaranteed that you get one. But that's the best trait for now. Second best trait that I found is the Crucible of Flame. That's the one here where you're active, you blast a guy with some damage, and then the damage increases by 100%, and then stacks up, twice and 3 times for the maximum amount of damage. And then the minor power is just whenever you randomly hit, you have a random chance to apply a dot on the ad, or if you heal, you have a chance to apply like a hot. It's okay. It's up there with Condensed Life Force, but I think the reason why it might not be as powerful because the Condensed Life Force, you can kind of stack it with all of your good stuff. So this is second best. And then as far as how you get this might also take a while because now the first rank on this is actually the very first essence that you unlock, because when you first unlock all of your essences, this is the reward that you get. But for the next 2 ranks, you're going to need your Heart of Azeroth to be level 54 and then 60. And there's a quest line underneath those to finish that. But basically, once you get to 54, you get the next rank, and then 60 is when you get to rank 3. Now, for all these essences, as far as for your damage is concerned, rank 3 is all you really care about. Rank 4 is going to be purely cosmetic, so we don't have to worry about that too much right now. And then next, even though Blood Enemy has been nerfed, it's still relatively good, especially if you're going to be in an AoE situation where it does AoE and it does increase your damage, in an AoE setting. This one, the initial trades are kind of easy, and it does seem like this might be one of the easiest ones to just grind out all 3 ranks in 1 week. Because all you have to do to get rank 1 is you have to do this 1 PvP quest to either win a BG or a PvP island. And then on top of that, you just have to get these achievements. So Battlefield Brawler, 15,000 honor kills gets you rank 2. Battlefield Tactician, 50,000 gets you rank 3. So you could theoretically I'm pretty sure you can get it all in 1 week if you literally just PvP it up. And it's not any like hard PvP, right? It's not like rank PvP. You can literally just spam like random BGs. And then for number 4, just to give you guys some more options, Vision of Perfection is up there, but I don't really like it. But I mean, it's something to use if you literally can't get any of the other ones. But this one does come from the Mechagon dungeon. Now, we'll talk about the change that happened right now in a second, but in order to get this, you have to kill the last boss for the first rank, and then eventually for rank 3, you're gonna most likely need to kill the boss 4 times. So the way that it is that when you kill King Mechagon, he drops this thing called Progression Sprocket, and you need 4 of these to get the rank 3. So, and since this is a mythic only dungeon, I assume you can only get it once per week. So I would assume it takes you 4. If it somehow drops in Mythic Plus, that would be interesting, but I doubt it. I'm pretty sure they want you to take 4 weeks to unlock this. And then of course, let's talk about the actual changes to the trait itself, right? Another hotfix is on the way regarding Vision Perfection. Talents or Azure traits that were increasing the base duration of specific cooldown that is being activated by Vision Perfection are no longer incorrectly being counted when determining the duration of buff granted by Vision Perfection. So I guess what that means is that, for example, Reckless Abandon makes our Recklessness last 4 seconds longer. That means if you had this talented and it procced, the procced duration would actually be longer. So now that's not the case anymore. So, I mean, that's just a straight nerf to, I guess, if you were using Reckless Abandon with it. So there's that. And then the last trait I want to talk about is this one right here, Memory Lucid Dreams. But let's see the trait first. Memory Lucid Dreams is basically the one that gives you the recklessness buff where you just get increased rage generation by 100. If you stack it up with your recklessness, you're basically getting double of the rage of that even. So a charge basically gives you like 80 rage. It is a pretty crazy amount of rage generation at that point. And then so to unlock this, it's from doing Nagitar questing and related events in the questing. I don't know exactly how much that would take because you just have to quest in a new zone. But yeah, I think you will eventually still want this too, because even if you don't want the major power, I still think it's going to be bad. The minor power is pretty good for Fury because we do spend a lot of resources, and if somehow you get good procs, that's great. And on top of that, for the minor power, the rage refund that you get counts as rage gain. So if you get the refund while you're in recklessness, it's like doubled. So it's actually not that bad of a trait as a minor trait, I think. But for the changes, what they're going to do is for the Memory Lucid Dreams, they are actually buffing it. This is one of the few traits that are going to get buffed. The cooldowns reduced from 180 to 120. I think that's very important because this active trait is not worth a 3-minute cooldown. That is not that strong. So I definitely agree with lowering it. And then they're increasing the duration to 12 seconds. And then rank 2 now gets 3 additional seconds. So you're getting it for longer, which is great. Unfortunately, the rank 3 versatility buff, that's going to be reduced by 35%. That's actually not that big of a deal because, at least for us, for other specs, that might be a bigger deal if they rely more on versatility, but versatility for a Fury Warrior is generally our worst trait. So not to worry about that. So that basically covers all the essences that I think you really need to worry about. I mean, of course, you can go and you can unlock all these other ones too, but like Conflict and Strife, I think it just kind of sucks. Maybe if you do PvP, you might want to do it, but it's really not that great for PvE, and then some of the other trades are kind of whatever. So hopefully this is helpful in helping you guys plan on what you want to do when patch 8.2 comes out. Basically, there's going to be some time gating with some of the essences, but it does seem like if you really wanted to, you can get Blood of the Enemy first. And then, of course, you want to keep up on your AP so you can get your Crucible of Flame as fast as you can. And then, the instant that the raid is out, make sure that you try to clear as much as possible, especially up to Queen Azara, every week. So that way you can get your Condensed Life Force ranked up faster. But as always, thanks for checking out the video, guys. Feel free to subscribe to see more. See ya.